What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people and I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Out here feeling conflicted, trying to figure it out on a Monday morning. What's going on? It's Monday, May 5th, 2025, year of our Lord. What's going on, friends and family? I see y'all inside of the chat. Let me give a shout out to some of the people I see inside of the chat right now. Let's go with Zeroice. What up, though? Trini Life, Will Nola, Purple Haze, Just Christian, Dynamic Mercenary, Amir Taylor, Distinguished Gentleman, Jerry, what up, though? I see you, Jerry. Brandy, Major Gains in the building. Trini Life, KJ, Ash, Heavy Duty Shorty in the building. Sudan Rashid, Major Gains, Trini Life. What's up, Brandy? What's up to all of my friends and family? Connie Harris, I see you. What's happening? Oat Milk, Ezekiel Williams, Dejan or Dewan. I see you, Dewan. What up, though? Limitless Minds, Chris Cunningham, Walk on Wood, PJ, Kwame, Jason, LA, Moses King, Carmen O, Treese. What up, Treese? Enos, Luby, Callie, Rain, B. Bala, and Nicole. What's up to all of my friends and everybody that I didn't have an opportunity to call out, but I got to get the show started. How y'all feeling today? What's up, family? What's up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Good morning to everybody. It is Monday. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Me personally, my weekend was, I was feeling conflicted. Feeling very, very conflicted. Well, before we get started with the show, and I always like to acknowledge the people. First of all, let me give a shout out to Mike That Dude. I appreciate you, Mike That Dude, especially for your consistency, bro. Never asked for it, but Mike That Dude on Cash App says, hoping you and your family had a great weekend, King. Trini Life also. What up, though? I appreciate you, Trini Life. Thank you for holding me down. Thank you, Trini Life. And thank you to everybody that support the platform. Shout out to the Bag Chasers. If you want to tap into the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, what up, Queen? Queen Weechi? Is it Queen Weechi? What's up, Queen Weechi? What's happening? Let me get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. Make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, I am not sure where I'm going to be going this weekend or if I'm going to go anywhere at all. Remember last week where I was telling y'all I think I'm going to do a tour of the entire United States of America? I'm conflicted. We'll talk about it. Maybe by the end of the show, maybe I'll go live on Instagram or something like that. but we'll definitely talk about it. Shh, 327. Let me highlight this one right here. Says, I wish you ninjas stop calling ninjas kings. Jesus. Well, why does that bother you? Shush, 327. Why does that bother you? Why does it bother you when people wish well on people or they're projecting success and they're projecting kingship to other people? Why is that a bothersome statement? Just wondering in general what the, because I always try to fill out the people for the week. What up, Yakar? I try to fill out the, what up, Osriel? I try to figure out the people and see what they feeling like. I'm trying to figure out, why does that bother people? Why is that a big deal? What would you like for them to address people as? Never said wishing well, sir. Ninjas overused kings and queens. Okay. Just asking, just wondering. Because everyone isn't royalty. But okay. But why is that bothersome to people is what I'm asking. You know, what I'm out and about on a daily basis, I don't really pay attention to stuff that is not applicable to me. I just kind of keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Uh, 2K9, Enforcer 2K9 says, so you don't have a problem with calling every woman a queen indiscriminately? I don't do it, but I don't care if somebody else does it, is my point. So everything doesn't apply to me. And if it does not impact something that I have going on, or it doesn't impact something culturally in my everyday life, if I see a guy calling a woman a queen, I'm not going to check him and say, hey man, don't call her a queen. If that's the way he communicates, if he's not belligerent, if he's not harming somebody, if he's not hurting somebody, if it's not problematic, that's not a thing for me, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it's not applicable to me, but what I'm saying is I'm not going to check somebody else because they call somebody else a king or a queen, because we don't know why they're doing that. They could have done something that deserves a title or whatever, or that's just the way that they feel in that day and they just want to communicate positively. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't. Oh, you was talking about the other guy. I got you. Anyways, yeah, man, life is good. So before I even get started with the show, I have a thought, and it's largely tied to the fact that Warren Buffett is retiring. So I'm gonna do a whole segment on Warren Buffett retiring. But before I get into the whole segment of Warren Buffett retiring, I want to share with you a question that was asked to him, because he had a meeting. Obviously, he did the meeting this weekend and he took a lot of questions. And at the end, he talked about the fact that he was retiring. So again, we're going to do that on a completely different segment. But this was a question that was asked to him, and I thought that it would be good to start the show off with. Check it out.
This question comes from Jessica Poon, who says, you've long been a strong believer in the American tailwind and the resilience of the United States, and history has proven you correct. Today, the U.S. appears to be undergoing significant and potentially revolutionary changes. Some investors are now questioning the concept of American exceptionalism. In your view, are investors being overly pessimistic about the U.S. economy, or is the country indeed entering a period of fundamental change that requires a reassessment from a new perspective?
Well, I would say that Jessica, who I believe is, it sounds as if she is the step-granddaughter of one of our managers that I mentioned in the annual report. May not be the same one. But in any event, America's been in significant and revolutionary change really ever since it was developed. I mentioned that, we started out as an agricultural society. We started out as a society with high promises, and we didn't deliver on it very well. We said all men were created equal, and then we wrote a constitution that said blacks get counted as 3/5, and in Article 2 you'll find male pronouns used 20 times and no female pronouns used. So, it took till 1920, I should say, till the 19th Amendment was passed, saying, "Oh yeah, we promised the women this back in 1776, and now we'll do something about it." And then we didn't do something about it for a long time. So we're always in the process of change. We'll always find all kinds of things to criticize in the country. But the luckiest day in my life is the day I was born. 'Cause I was born in the United States, and at the time, about 3% of all the births in the world were taking place in the United States. And I'd like to say that I had something to do, so sent messages out to my parents, for God's sakes, move to the United States before I was born or anything. But I was just lucky. And I was lucky to be born male. I was lucky to be born white. And I was like all kinds of things. But if you don't think the United States has changed since I was born in 1930, we've gone through all kinds of things. And we've gone through great recessions. We've gone through world wars. We've gone through the development of an atomic bomb that we never dreamt of, at the time I was born. So I would not get discouraged about the fact that it never doesn't look like we've solved every problem that's come along. And if I were being born today, I would just keep negotiating in the womb until they said you can be in the United States. So we're all pretty lucky.
And I wanted to start the show off with that, right? Because we all have problems, right? And we all have issues, and we all have things that we deal with on a daily basis. And I was telling somebody over the weekend, I just want to live a good life. 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 And it kind of mimics, I'll tell you where I stole that from. And it's a simple statement, but I'll tell you exactly where I stole it from. I stole it from Mika. Shout out to my Mika. I stole it from Mika. And I asked Mika a question one time on After Hours, and I said, Mika, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Because I was asking everybody on the panel, and sometimes I have these introspective moments where I'm kind of sort of asking people what it is that they want and what they're looking for and what life is like. And I think we were talking about relationships or providers or whatever like that, and the dynamics of men with women or something like that. But whatever it is, I asked Mika and I said, hey, what do you want out of life? And I asked everybody else, but Mika's answer truly stuck with me. And Mika sat there, and she's really, really good. Let me give her flowers right now, because I know that I say I appreciate people and everybody that works with me and everybody that holds me down. But she sat there and she thought about it for a moment, and she said, she always thinks first before she speaks. And she said, Anton, I just want to live a good life. I just really want to live a good life. And at the time, it was like, oh, okay. Oh, I feel you. But I couldn't shake what she was saying. And it just kept replaying over and over. And that was months ago. That was probably 2 or 3 months ago. And today and over the weekend, it kept replaying in my head, and it kept replaying in my head. It kept replaying in my head. And somebody was telling me something about something that was meaningless, and it was asking me a question that completely wasn't even relevant to anything. And I told him, I said, listen, in the grand scheme of things, if you think about the things that you were concerned about last year, can you tell me what they were? And they said, no, I don't even remember what it was. And I said, exactly. It doesn't mean anything, does it? And I often tell you guys this piece of advice, and I said, listen, for the people that are in my life, I focus 98, 99% of my energy, my life force, because your life force is the thing that is draining or gaining as you are an adolescent and you continue to grow and you get into your teens and in your 20s, you're developing. Your life force is is growing, but then as you hit your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and you start to hit your mid-age, midlife, or whatever, so on and so forth, and that's why they call it a midlife crisis. Your life force is draining every day, and life becomes more meaningful to some people that start to truly pay attention to the things that they interact with on a daily basis. So when I meet people, when I interact with people, I'm truly immersed in what's going on at that moment. But then at the same time, I'm very careful who I give my energy to, because that emotion, that arguing, the things that you guys complain about on a daily basis, your life force is being drained. And if we have a finite amount of time, I watched the movie Time a while ago, and I earmarked it because I actually want to rewatch it again. And there's some things that I need to watch so that I remind myself what my goal is and why I need to stay the course. Is it worth it? Is the argument worth it? Is the anger worth it? Is the high blood pressure worth it? Is the things that, or the people that you interact with, or the discussions that you have on a daily basis, is it worth it? And the luckiest thing that ever happened to me in my life, because it is part luck, right? What you do once you get those cards, what you do once you dealt that hand, that's really what life is about. It's about the ups, the downs, the emotions, the decisions that you make on a daily basis. But the biggest blessing that has ever happened to me in my life is being born in 1982 in the United States of America in Detroit, Michigan. Because God knows I could have been born in any other era or in any other country or somewhere else, and I just so happen. Because a lot of y'all will say, well, I'm not rich, Anton, or well, I'm not this, or I'm not that. And it's always a complaint, and it doesn't matter where you are in life, and it don't matter how it is that you've been blessed and what opportunities that you have. Okay, so you was born in a hood, but you was born in the United States of America. You could have been born in Mumbai. You could have been born in Sudan. You could have been born in Cambodia. You could have been born in Ghana. You could have been born in the places that people are dying every day to get over here to be at. And so you won the lottery. You was born in the 21st century. You was born in this era right here, right now, and everything that we sit here and whine about, when we could be enjoying the people that surround us. You can be enjoying your moments. You could be truly immersed in the things that you're doing on a daily basis. We all got to work. We all got to grind. We all got to hustle. But it's the attitude that we have that then gives us our vigor. It's the things that we deal with on a daily basis. And, I know content creators, for example. It was one that has been talking about me over the last couple of weeks, and somebody texted me, and I wasn't aware of it until I seen it, and I seen the date that they posted it. And it was a content creator that's really dusty. I mean, and he's really hit the wall. He's hit the wall content-wise. He's hit the wall with his life. A lot of these people are unhappy with who they are and the things that they deal with. And somebody sent me a video of him getting beat up a while ago and stuff like that. And I said, it's unfortunate because their life force is being drained, focused on things that other people talk about negatively 100% of the time, right? And so I play around with it a little bit, and I, interacted on Instagram a little bit and so on and so forth. And so I reposted some stuff. But my point is that it's the same point that I was making to the person that I was having a conversation with over the weekend. And I said, I just want to live a good life. When it's all said and done, my legacy is going to be my legacy. The things that I do on this earth, hopefully it leaves the earth in a better space had I not been here. However, I just want to live a good life. I genuinely want to live a good life. That's it. That's it. That's all I care about. And so I am not at any point, and that's why I was kind of conflicted, because the things that I was concerning myself with over the weekend, I kept hearing Mika's statement in my head, and her voice in my head said, I just want to live a good life. I just want to live a good life. So when I woke up this morning, I was thinking to myself, man, I got a flight that I had booked to somewhere. I'm not going to tell y'all where it is yet. I got a flight that I had booked to somewhere on Wednesday night. And I was thinking about canceling it, and I'm still strongly considering canceling it. And by the end of the show, I'll probably have my answer, because I asked God to always give me some insight, some understanding, a sign on what I should do, because just conflicted about where I want to go, what I want to do, how life then hits me and stuff like that. But again, the fact of the matter is, I just want to live a good life. And in order for me to do that, in order for you to do that, you're going to have to stay the course. You have to stay the course. You can't get distracted. You can't keep letting society and people and culture and negative Nancy's and people around you distract you with things that's not meaningful to your life and for your life. Warren Buffett is 94 years old. 94 years old. He left it all on the table. Every day he put in that work. He grind, he hustled, he lived a good life. He drunk his Cokes and he ate his burgers or whatever it is that he wanted. And he's living a long 94. Charlie Munger, who was his partner in crime, passed away recently. And now Warren Buffett is saying that he want to step down. And that hit me, It just hits me, because I realize that one day we're all going to get old. It's crazy to think about. We're all going to get old one day. And the things that you do right now is more meaningful every single day. I live it all. I live it all. I truly do. I truly do. We didn't do the event on Sunday. They wound up canceling because they had some other things that happened, some life events happened. So I didn't wind up doing an event on Sunday. But that's why I didn't post it on my social media for people to purchase tickets and stuff like that. But I do truly, is it worth it? Every interaction at 43 years old today, I contemplate the decision that I'm going to make that day, at that moment. Is it worth it for me to do it? And if yes, I go full-fledged. If no, I completely stay away from it. And I stay the course. We're going to run up a bag. We're going to make a lot of money. We're going to have a lot of fun. I can't wait to meet y'all at the Patreon meetup. And life is good. And the luckiest thing that's ever happened to me is being born right here, right now in the United States of America, because we hit the lottery. Now, what you do with that opportunity is up to you. Are you going to waste it? You're going to sit here and complain? You're going to run in the Victim Olympics? You're going to blame the white man again? I mean, I don't care if you was born into us. Being born in the United States of America is being born in a privilege, in my opinion. That is the privilege, is being born in the United States. If you are born today, if you were born anytime after the 60s, 50s, anytime after the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, if you were born anytime after the 50s in the United States of America, I don't care what color you are, what age you are, you won. You won. That is your privilege. So all of this other stuff that we keep getting distracted from, that's to take you away from your purpose and distract you from staying the course. It's a distraction. That's my opinion anyways. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. It's a distraction. Patrina John says, how do you feel about Trump putting tariffs on movies filmed outside of the United States of America? I haven't heard about it. I need to see it. When did that happen? Did y'all know anything about that? Y'all know the details of it? Email it to me and I'll discuss it. I'll talk about it. Thank you, Patrina. I appreciate you. I'm not familiar with it. That's news to me. Y'all know anything about that? Tariffs on movies filmed outside of the United States of America. Y'all know anything about that? I don't know anything about it. So if y'all send it to me, then I definitely will review it. Anyways, make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's go ahead and get into the show. So before we get started, I got to bring not even my city. I have to bring people to the front of the congregation that is around the city. All right. So the first thing that I want to discuss today before we get into Trump, tariffs, Mexico, cartel members, Brandon Tatum, Warren Buffett, before we deep dive into that, I want to detail this. So I like to bring what happens in Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Denver, Houston, Atlanta, all of these different places to the front of the congregation. And it's some wild things that have taken place over the weekend. And I've seen people talking about it on other social media platforms. And so I said, well, let me deep dive into this to better understand what's going on. This happened in Eastpointe. So Eastpointe, some of you that have never been to Detroit and some of you that may not be familiar with the city, Eastpointe is a city that is across 8 Mile. Now, other people may say that that is the suburbs. I don't think so. We call it Metro Detroit for a reason. So you have Detroit and then you have all of the surrounding areas because we're all interconnected in our success, right? So Eastpointe is east of Detroit across 8 Mile. So if you go to one side of 8 Mile, it's Detroit. You go to the other side of 8 Mile, it's going to be Eastpointe. Now, if you drive all the way down 8 Mile and you have Detroit, right? Detroit is a huge city. You can fit like 7 San Franciscos inside of it. And you can go all the way from Livonia, Southfield, and these are all of the cities that's going down 8 Mile. Livonia, Southfield, Oak Park, Ferndale, Hazel Park, Eastpointe, right? And so it's all of these cities, city after city after city after city, that 8 Mile runs down and through. But on the other side of it is Detroit. Well, when you crossed over into the east and then you go over 8 Mile, there's a city called Eastpointe. And there just so happened to be a Foot Locker at this Eastpointe. Well, a group of people decided that they wanted to pull over. They got into an argument. They pulled over into the parking lot of Foot Locker. They exchanged words. Apparently, they knew each other. So this was a beef that was long brewing. Well, at the end of it, 4 people were shot. One of them killed right there on the scene. A girl just so happens to be one of the people that did the shooting. And so she popped the trunk, went and got the pistol out of the trunk after somebody got pistol whipped so hard until the gun broke. And she let loose. And now she's on the run inside of Eastpointe or Detroit or wherever it is that she is. And this is a story of how it took place. Check it out.
Deadly quadruple shooting leaves 2 people dead and 2 others injured, and the shooters are still on the loose. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Pamela Osborne.
And I'm Will Jones. The shooting happened in a Foot Locker parking lot in Eastpointe. Jacqueline Francis is live there now. And Jacqueline, please say this all started as an argument.
Will and Pam, this parking lot behind me, this Foot Locker parking lot, was a crime scene for most of the afternoon. The store itself really has nothing to do with the shooting other than the 2 groups that were feuding decided to pull into this parking lot. They got out of the car, they got into a physical fight, and then shots were fired.
We are lucky that no innocent bystanders got hit by a stray bullet. We are very lucky that bullets didn't enter the store.
A Foot Locker parking lot in Eastpointe turned into a crime scene. The shooting happened just before 3 Saturday afternoon at 8 Mile and Kelly Road. Eastpointe police say 2 cars pulled into the parking lot. The people got out of the cars and the 2 groups began physically fighting. One person got out a gun and started beating someone else with it until the gun broke. Police say a woman then got out of the car, grabbed another gun from the trunk and began shooting. 4 people were shot. 1 man died on scene. Another died at the hospital. The 2 other men are in stable condition.
This makes no sense to me, and it hurts my heart, to see somebody else to have to go through this. Somebody finna have to bury their kids, and it don't make no sense. That's just wrong.
The suspect is on the run, but police believe there is no ongoing threat.
But we do not believe that there's any danger to the public because we do not think it was random. These 2 groups of people knew each other, and it appears that's what the fight.
So the girl, again, they don't want to say that it's a female suspect, which I don't understand why they don't want to say that it's a female suspect. But everybody in the city knows. Everybody in the city is talking about it. Everybody in the city is familiar with the fact that it is a girl. And a lot of people actually knows who the person is, which brings me to my second point. And my second point is, we know, and I've been telling you guys this for a long time, everybody knows who's who inside of the neighborhood. Everybody knows who took whose life. Everybody is familiar with what is going on and who is doing what. They know who the shooters are. They know who got into it. They know who pulled over. People are familiar with it. And the person is still on the run. Meanwhile, it's two people that's dead. Two people are still in the hospital. And don't nobody really want to talk to the police. Two people dead. Two people in the hospital. And don't nobody want to talk to the police. Yes, it was that demographic, and I'm not going to sit here and mince words and act like it's not. It was that demographic, 100%. 100% it was that demographic. And so they running around in the city, monsters, taking lives, riding around with multiple pistols inside of the car, taking people's lives, getting into confrontations, pulling over in parking lots, fighting, getting pistol whipped, and now somebody's kid is gone and they no longer gonna be there with them. So dumb. So silly. What a waste of life. What a waste of life. It's so dumb. The things that people get into on a regular basis is so dumb. And I know that God just be shaking his head sometimes like, man, y'all just got all of this opportunity. Mama raised you, daddy made you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got the opportunity of a lifetime and y'all over here arguing inside of a Foot Locker parking lot. That's the sum total of your life. Is that eventually you beef out to where you now in a space to where y'all basically about to scrap it out, or somebody is about to get into it and they about to shoot each other. Y'all about to take each other's life over what? What is it that you could possibly argue about? I've seen people online try to bait me sometimes. Oh man, pull up, drive to my city. And I'll be thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me. You can't tell me that I've gotten to the age of 41 years old by being a dummy. Let's say I drive to your city and then I get the best of you. Then what? Then what? How does that play out? Let's say I drive to your city and you get the best of me. And then what? We got kids. We grown. We got kids. Half of us that's 40 and up don't even hoop no more because the way that your knees is set up. The conversations that we should be having, you know what? I would like to get into it with people about arguing about politics, money, the bag, success. Let's debate over whether or not you should invest in your 401k or your Roth 401k. Let's debate over whether or not we should make a money play in real estate. Let's pick the best of the two investments that is both going to yield us, but we trying to figure out and have a debate over whether or not it makes sense to operate and invest in this one or to invest in that one. I don't care about that other stuff. Cuddy says some YNs will clown you for being old. I don't care. Listen, that's not my target audience. My target audience is not YNs. That's the key. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody that has no value to me. Do you think that a finance bro cares about whether or not a YN feels like he's a lame? Do you think that the people that have shares of Berkshire Hathaway that was sitting at that meeting, that annual Berkshire Hathaway meeting, With Warren Buffett over the weekend as he announced his retirement, do you think that those people really care about whether or not you going to scrap with somebody, or who busts who down, or what's happening at the Foot Locker, or whether or not you want to scrap, or if you a real one? Do you think that anybody that was at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, I want to go to the Berkshire Hathaway meeting one day. I want to actually go and sit and watch what happens at the New York Stock Exchange. I'm not chasing the dumbness. It's a blessing to get old. Maybe you'll get there one day. Pray that you make it to be my age. Pray that you make it to be 43 years old in your right mind with no problems, no complications, no issues, no disabilities, no diseases, no none of that stuff. Pray. You should pray that you make it. It's a blessing to get older. It's a blessing to get older. And we just not even taking our lives serious anymore. We don't even care. It doesn't even matter. And if you don't value your life, why should I value my life? This is also something that happened. A Detroit man decided to kill his wife with a sword. Real talk.
New at 6, this is a sad and bizarre situation here. A Detroit man in police custody after he allegedly admitted to fatally stabbing his wife with a sword.
Yeah, police also say the man walked into the police department early this morning and confessed to this crime. Fox 2's Camila Murray joins us live from the Detroit Police Department's 11th precinct with what we know so far, Camille. As you heard, it's a strange one.
Yeah, this is definitely a strange one. Turning himself into the 11th precinct behind me, which is on Nevada Street. Incidentally, he lived with his wife on Connolly Street, which is the intersection right to my right. He literally lived about half a mile, less than a half a mile away. Could have walked here. It happened around 4:30 this morning. We did obtain a picture of the victim from the family members. If you could, we could show that picture. Her name is Catherine Thompson. She was 67 years old. You see here in the picture. We could show that picture.
Yo. What did Catherine Thompson say? What could Catherine say that would cause for you to pull out a sword and say, you know what? I've had enough. What could Catherine Thompson say that would cause for you to pull out a sword and say, I'm sick of your mouth, time to go night-night?
Her name is Catherine Thompson. She was 67 years old. You see here in the picture with her 2 grown children. They gave us this picture. They wanted us to share it with our viewers, but they were just too distraught to talk. They said that their mother was a wonderful woman who was loved by so many people. When we went there, down the street, a family member lives down the street from where this all happened. This happened at the home that she shared with her husband, a duplex actually, in the upstairs. And it was amazing to me how many family members had gathered down the street where one of them lives, just all distraught, crying, hugging. They can't believe that this happened. Again, as you said, around 4:30 this morning, the man came over to the 11th precinct and told police to arrest him because in his words, he had stabbed his wife with a sword. Take a listen to what police have to say.
2 scout cars were dispatched out to an address on Conley, just south of 7 Mile. When they arrived at the location, they found a door unsecured. They made entry and went to an upstairs bedroom where they found the deceased.
Just incredibly sad and hard to believe. They did recover that sword, but not saying anything more about that, asking people to call the police if they know anything else about this. But the man is in custody. Family members just not ready to talk about it, but said that hopefully they will have a vigil or some kind of tribute in the days to come to remember Catherine Thompson. Reporting live on the city's east side, Camila Murray, Fox.
Again, I just want to live a good life. I just want to live a good life. I don't want no problems. I don't want no trouble. Yeah, we gonna troll. Yeah, we gonna have conversations. Yeah, we gonna have disagreements. But I just want to live a good life. I'm not interested in going back and forth with you. Anything that kills me, any argument that's just that dire. Once your kids are grown, y'all just need to go ahead and just go y'all separate way. Go let her live her life. You go live your life. The minute that you go and get a katana, and you said that you know what? This is not working anymore. We just gonna go ahead and just call it a day. Is nothing that you can do, not one thing that you can do or say outside of doing something to my daughter. Nothing that you can do or say that's gonna cause for me to want to put my hands on you. I'm gone. I'm out. I'm not going to jail for you. I'm not going to talk to the police about it. I'm not going to get arrested. I'm not doing none of that. I'm out. I'm just not, I'm not interested in continuing the conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what's happening in Detroit and in the suburbs and the east side of Detroit. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. It's sad. It, honest to God, is sad. I pray for people. I pray that people start to value life a little bit more and a little bit differently than they have been lately. So that is what's happening with that. Let me read a few of these super chats and then we're going to go ahead and continue on with the show. Just Christian says, these are the people that want to be called kings and queens instead of YNs. Whiskey Pierre says, Anton, blessings to you, your business, and your family. We always say if we had a chance to talk to a millionaire, what would we say? For me, the millionaire responded, cybersecurity be a bag chaser. Today started classes. Shout out to Whiskey Pierre. I love that. James, shout out to James, says, at some point, can't you do a stock club show about what the criteria you use to determine which stocks you sell in order to, which stock or stocks you sell in order to fund other things? Buying property. Yeah, I could do yeah, that's a good one. Let's do it Wednesday at 4 o'clock. No, Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern in the Patreon. Let me write that down really quickly, what you want me to talk about. Well, I'm not going to do stock club. I'm going to do a block club, but it's going to kind of be a hybrid because I'm going to talk about certain things that kind of overlap between the both and what I decide to sell and what I decide to keep. Oh, fine. All right, you got it. Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, block club, stock club, hybrid, and we're going to get it in. Shout out to James. High Tolerance says, good morning, AD and the Bag Chasers. The Lord is done with the BS, giving people provision to seal their fate. Were these productive citizens in this society? Shell shock. Well, we got to catch her first. The hood got to tell us where it is. Man, you almost had me crying talking about us young brothers in our 40s who can't even hoop no more due to these bad A knees. That was a gut punch. No. It's not that we can't. It's that we're not interested in it. Bro, let me tell you something. I'll give you an example. I think that hooping is cool. I hate to even say this. I've hooped at 40 and up hooping events, right? And usually the 40 and up hooping events happen at Lifetime Fitness. I don't know if y'all ever been to Lifetime Fitness, but I've been to a Lifetime Fitness thing where we was hooping with 40 and up. But the time that I was hooping with the 40 and up club, I was in my early to mid 30s. What I learned about those guys is, number one, they are multicultural. So all races, all creeds, they don't have any demographic. It could be Indian, white men, black men, all kind of stuff. All right. But most of them is over 40. The second thing I learned about them is that they're not really interested in playing with guys that are under 30. Let me say it again. They're not interested in playing with guys that are under 30. And the reason that is not because they're not looking to compete, but because they have a different objective. So when they start to see guys arguing on the court, going back and forth and all of that stuff, they out. They leaving. They're going to get their bag. And the way that they solve for that, it brings me to point number 3. They play very early in the morning before work. Guys that are in a 40 and up club that likes to hoop, most of the time they play before work. That's what I learned. 5 a.m., 6 a.m., they there, and which brings me to the next point. They're there for cardio. They don't care whether you win or lose. When I was going to the hoop with them, they never even kept score. They never kept score. They're there for cardio. They go lift and to hoop. They go to run full court up and down the court. They don't care if they playing 4s or 5s. They there for the cardio. They there to sweat. They don't care about score. They don't care about winning. They not recording. They don't have their phone out. They don't care about none of that stuff. Which brings me back to point number 3. They not about to sit there and argue with you because they there for a specific reason. So, again, this brings me to my point. It's not that we can't hoop. They don't hoop on concrete. They not about to be out there suffering afterwards. They not interested in having no injuries. They very careful. When somebody falls, they help each other up. They don't care about who does the layup. They not trying to play heavy defense. They trying to run up and down the court, and they chilling, and they having a good time, and they know each other, and chances are they might have a drink or do business with each other also. I'm telling you, I'll give you the blueprint. So again, it's not that they don't, it's a different type of hooping is all I'm saying. It's a different type of hooping. All right? So, shell shock, that's what's up. Next Gen 720 says, that news reporter in the pink, what in the dire of a mad black hair hat is going on here? I don't even know. I was more concerned about the story. I didn't even look at her. Just a brown girl in America says, good morning. I feel like it's been so long. Welcome back. Mr. Joe says, on this day in 2022, KS was called home. Rest in peace. He's still undefeated. Yeah, shout out to Kev. Definitely never be forgotten. And his memory lives on through his work and how he's impacted other people, including myself. All right, y'all, let's continue on with the show. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Trump. So Trump did a Meet the Press, which the interview was pretty long, but I'm not going to play the whole interview. I'm going to just get straight to the beginning of it, and we're going to navigate through it. But I heard that in the beginning of it, he was talking about the economy, the state of the economy, and tariffs. And so I want to deep dive into that. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's talk.
President Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here to mark your first 100 days in office. It has been an incredibly busy 100 days. You've signed more than 140 executive orders. You've been focused on the border, the economy, foreign policy. What is your biggest goal in the next 100 days?
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of results. We've already seen them on the border. We have the best border in the history of our country. It was 99.999. And nobody ever thought that was possible. In fact, Biden, if you remember, said he has to get legislation. And I said, no, you just need a new president. And I guess I was right. We have the best border we've ever had. We're doing great on illegal immigration. We are being hit hard by judges that I think they're trying to take away the power of the presidency. I was elected in a massive landslide and a big vote. We won the swing states. We won the popular vote. We won the district votes by tremendous numbers. We won everything. And one of the primary reasons I was elected was to get people out of our country that were allowed. We have prisoners, we have murderers, we have terrorists in our country, we have people from mental institutions that are seriously insane. They all came in through Biden's open border policy, and I was elected to get them out and to seal the border, but to get them out. And we'll have judges, they're activist judges, they're saying, well, you know, you don't have the right to take out murderers and people that you don't even want to talk about. These are really some really bad criminal people, and they're here illegally. So, you know, they talk about your next question will be due process, but they talk about due process, but do you get due process when you're here illegally?
We're going to talk.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Due process. It's a distraction. It is something that tries to hold up our administration from doing a job. And I'm trying to understand how that works. All right. So if you guys don't mind, go ahead and give me a little bit of rope here and you can explain it to me in the chat. What is due process for somebody that was not supposed to be here in the first place? What is due process for somebody that is not supposed to be here in the first place? So you can walk over and do what you want to do for as long as you want to do it until you get caught. When you get caught, now it's going to take us a year to deport you, and then you can just walk right back over here when you get the opportunity to. So we're going to go through a court process, due process, legislative process. I think that this is one of the things that's holding up the court system from being able to actually legally get people here in the first place. I thought that due process was for the United States of American citizens. I didn't know that that was for people that was here illegally.
About all of that. We are going to talk about deportation, but I want to start on the economy, sir, which obviously the biggest issue for voters. We got new numbers today, better than expected job numbers.
Much better.
At the same time, the economy shrank in the first quarter. You've been arguing all week that this is President Biden's economy. Is this now your economy, sir?
Well, I think certain aspects of it are. Costs are. I was able to get down the costs, but even that, it takes a while to get them down, but we got them down good. We lost $5 to $6 billion a day with Biden. $5 to $6 billion. And I've got that down to a great number right now in a record time. You know, we're talking about 100 days. But just think of what that is. $5 billion a day we're losing on trade.
I was just talking about you, Mika.
We were very tough with China, as you know. We put 145% tariff on. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. And we've essentially cut off trade relationships by putting that much of a tariff on. And that's okay. We've gone cold turkey. That means that we're not losing. You know, we lost $1 trillion to China. $1 trillion. That means we're not losing $1 trillion when we go cold turkey because we're not doing business with them right now. And they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal very badly. We'll see how that all turns out, but it's got to be a fair deal. But think of it. We were losing $1 trillion. And that was a big part of the $5 million a day.
And I want to.
Do you guys, if you guys had to do something differently with our elections, one thing that I would do personally, the first thing that I would do is put term limits on Congress. I don't think that Congress members should be able to stay in Congress for longer than 8 years. I don't think that Congress people should be able to stay in Congress for longer than 8 years. That's the first thing that I would do is I will put term limits on Congress. I don't know why we don't have term limits on Congress. I don't know why we've had Nancy Pelosi for my entire lifetime. I don't know why we've had Bernie Sanders for my entire lifetime. I don't know how somebody can be a lifetime politician like Joe Biden. He spent 50 years. Joe Biden was in politics for longer than I've been alive. 50 years. Let me propose something else to y'all. And I'm not saying that this is my suggestion. This is what I'm asking you guys. Do you guys also think that we should elect presidents for 8 years, one term? And the reason that I asked that is because somebody said in the chat, well, Trump is going balls to the walls. He is trying to make sure that he address everything, and he's doing it in record time, and he's truly trying to fix the United States of America. Will we be in this situation if we had Trump for 8 years straight? Or should we do 4 4s? DK said, I don't know about that. Well, because think about it. Because it's hard for a president to get stuff done. When they first get in for their first 4 years, it's trying to figure it out. It's going into it. It's trying to, do all of this. Well, your car says 8 years of Kamala and Biden would have ruined the whole country. Okay, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is that they would have never got in office in the first place if we had Trump from 2016 to 2024. Jerry says, I love Trump, but not that much. Well, it's not about Trump. I'm not even talking about Trump. I'm talking about being able to get things done. Trump was really prevented from getting stuff done in his first term in office because he had entire Congress against him. And, we didn't control all 3 legislative branches, right? So the things that Trump did do, the first day in office, Biden undid it. The first day in office, Biden opened up our borders. He did away with the 94 legislative executive, or I'm not even saying legislative, the 94 executive orders that Trump used in order to prevent people from coming over here illegally into the country. So had we had him Or if we allowed for him to be able to do the things that he need to do and go hard for the United States of America the entire time, would that be a bad thing is what I'm asking. Y'all saying 4 years is perfect? Okay, I accept that. I accept that. I do think that all elected positions should have term limits. But how do we have the right term limits for our presidents is what I'm asking. 2 5-year terms? Okay.
To talk about China, but just staying on this idea of the economy. On the eve of your inauguration, the stock market spiked. You called it the Trump effect.
It spiked because I was elected president. Well, it spiked because of anybody else. It spiked because they see what I'm going to do. They know what I'm going to do with the tariffs and everything else. And I think it's actually working out better than we anticipated. Did you see oil prices? Did you see gasoline is now below, in many cases, in many states, below $2 a gallon, $1.98, $1.99, $1.97?
Well, my question, sir, is when the stock market spiked, you said this is the Trump effect. When the numbers weren't so good earlier this week, you said it's the Biden effect. Are you only taking ownership of the good numbers and not the bad numbers?
Well, I think he did a lot of very bad things, and despite some of the bad things, we're overcoming them. But he was bad on the border. He was bad on the economy. We had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Look, Biden gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. People, it didn't matter what they made because they were losing their shirt because of costs. Now take a look at what happened. Oil is down, gasoline is down, groceries are down, eggs. You were the one that asked me. You asked me about eggs. It was the first week. I didn't even know anything about what were you talking about. Egg prices were so high you couldn't buy eggs. They didn't have any eggs. And they said Easter's.
I see y'all saying 2 5-year terms. Well, the problem with 5-year terms is that the problem with this, right, is ultimately that it's always a yin and a yang to it, right? So let's say, for example, okay, well, we could have had Trump for 2 5-year terms or whatever, or he could have did a 5-year term. Well, the other side of that is that Biden would have been in for an additional year, and I'm not sure that we were built for that. You know what I'm saying? Imagine Biden being in office for 5 years. Boy, we was itching to get that man out of office after 3, 4 years. After 2 years, we was like 1 year and a half in, 2 years, we was like, whoa, what's going on here, buddy? You letting all of these migrants in here? Inflation is at 10%. People couldn't afford nothing. So it is. It's a yin and a yang. I think it's 100% a yin and a yang.
Bird flu, but when does it become the Trump economy?
Why do you say that?
Well, tell me,
we had the same bird flu as he had.
When does it become the Trump economy?
It partially is right now, and I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy, and the bad parts are the Biden economy, because he's.
Kay Cooper, he says the cost of living is never going down. Well, that's not true, Kay Cooper. You got to look at it from a different lens. Affordability is, all right, so I'll give you an example. A lot of people look at the cost of living by how much stuff costs. We're looking at it wrong. We need to look at the affordability of it, right? Because the reason why the Biden economy was so bad wasn't just because prices was high. It was also because the cost of doing business or our affordability didn't go up with it. So we didn't get the raises at the same rate as inflation, which is then you hit the double whammy because the Fed had to tamp down inflation because Biden didn't manage the economy the way that he was supposed to. And so because inflation was so high and you weren't really getting any new jobs and they were lying about the job market because the majority of the jobs that was being created was from the federal government, which was basically DEI. It wasn't from the private sector. And then throw on top of that, you weren't getting raises at the same rate as inflation. So your affordability wasn't keeping up. The cost wasn't keeping up. Inflation is generally regarded at 2% or lower. Somewhere in the 2% range is good inflation, meaning that the value of the dollar is going to go down a little teeny bit every single year. The cost of doing business is going to go up slightly every single year. but your cost of living or your earnings need to be commensurate with that. When things are off, it's an absolute disaster because first you have to throw in all of the debt that we have, so they're gonna tax you more. Okay, because they have to make sure that they pay for all of these services. So the city is gonna tax you, the state is gonna tax you, and the federal government is gonna tax you more. Then you have to throw in there, because interest rates have to go up so much, because they have to figure out how to tamp down inflation. That's the only real tool that they have. And keeping inflation down, that means that the cost of living is going to go up even higher because we are a borrowing nation and we are a consumer-driven nation. We don't make anything. We don't export a whole lot. So because we don't have any self-sustaining industries, mostly that'll help the United States of America deal with the inflation, deal with the bubbles, deal with the crisis, they then have to raise rates extra high and cause artificial pain to people because that's the only tool that they have, which then makes your affordability go up. What it also does is it creates a bigger divide between the haves and the have-nots because those that are cash flush, those that don't need debt, they then capitalize off of the things that others and consumers and borrowers are ultimately depending on. So when the money is hard to borrow or when the money is more expensive to borrow, your cost of living goes up, your cost of doing business goes up. When the cost of living goes down significantly, right, and money is cheaper, it's easier for you to be able to do the things that you want to do. You can buy a home at a cheaper rate. You can live at a different place. You can do all of these different things. And so the cost of living, it's not necessarily about the cost of living going higher. When you think about inflation, it goes like this, right? And you also have your cost of living or your earnings, right? Which means the affordability factor. That's also in line with it. During the Biden administration, you've seen your wages go just like still doing this, but then the inflation is doing like this. Your inflation is incredible. So now when inflation went all the way up like this, and then the cost of living still going like this now, it leveled out under Trump. So inflation is still at 2% now. Well, what does that mean? Your affordability is still down here. It didn't make the jump at any point. You didn't jump high enough to still be able to afford the economy that Biden left us. So Trump now has the economy at 2.3% inflation. Biden at different points was at 9, 10, 11, 12%, depending on where you were as in the nation. When it jumped, it never jumped down to meet your affordability. So what you're basically experiencing is that even if inflation is like this, you still got to make that big jump to get up to the affordability that you used to have prior to 2021. You understand what I'm saying? So when you say, well, the cost is still high, that's because the math ain't mathing. When you made that jump, the interest rates are still at 6-7%. When you made that jump, you never made the jump in inflation. When the cost went up significantly and then they came back down to a commensurate rate, well, what Trump is doing is trying to drive the cost down and drive the costs out and making money cheaper for you to borrow so that your affordability eventually meets up with where it is that you should have been as far as how much you should have got a raise and what you could afford. But we're still chasing that down. And so we're now dealing with the residual effects of the Biden administration. So when Trump says, well, partially is my economy, it's because even though we got inflation at 2% and we had great jobs numbers over the last month or over the last quarter, it doesn't mean that we got back from where it was that we got left behind at. We still digging ourselves out of the trenches. That's why it's going to be partially his. It's going to still be partially Biden's because you still have to deal with the legacy costs. When automotive companies, the reason that automotive companies had a difficult time dealing with the 2008 crisis is because they had legacy costs. All right, I'm going to teach y'all something right now. Shout out to Trump. If y'all want to go and watch that full interview, you can go over to, NBC News. Okay, I'm going to teach you something really quickly. Y'all not going to get it nowhere else. So make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I'm going to teach you something really quickly, all right? The reason that Toyota, Honda, and Nissan, the Japanese automakers that came over here and took over in the 70s and 80s, the reason that they were able to compete more effectively is because they didn't have the legacy costs that came along with being a traditional automaker. So when your grandfather and your great-grandfather came up from the South and went and got a job in the North, and they came to Detroit and they said, you know what, we gonna boom, we gonna get this money. And Henry Ford then automated the assembly line to allow for you to be able to make cars more effectively, mass produce them, and at the same time, the union member unionized, and they said, all right, we're gonna come together and we're gonna bargain as a collective instead of individuals. Well, what happened was they offered them initially a pension. And so when they offered them a pension, some of these other companies did, and the federal government, they offered them a pension. They said, well, if you work 30 years, then we'll give you a lifetime of retirement. Well, it was a lot of guys that came through. It made sense at that point because the automakers prior to that had just gotten started up. They had record profits. They had no previous costs that was due to that. Well, eventually the Japanese automakers came into the United States of America, and they learned how to make cars more effectively, but at the same time, they didn't have the legacy costs. So they were able to drive more money into research and development and keep the costs low. And so they were not dealing with the same retirement benefits that the previous automakers or the United States of American automakers had already promised to your father, your great-grandfather, and then those same benefits, even if he died, went over to his widow, which we then switched over to a 401k to release our companies and allow for them to be able to compete internationally, because at the same time you had Clinton then came in and he gave you NAFTA. The previous Bushes and the Clintons, they gave you the North America Free Trade Agreement, which allowed for automakers to then ship jobs outside of the United States of America to save costs, but they never passed that cost benefit over to the consumers. So now automakers were dealing with legacy costs. They had retirement benefits. They had to take care of your health care coverage. They had to give you a pension, and they didn't have as much money coming in as they had previously because we had more competition. Now you see the Hyundais and the Kias, the North Koreans coming over here, and you see the Chinese trying to come over here, and they're trying to do the same thing, and you see Nissan going out of business. You see Honda having a hard time, and they're about to merge with Nissan, similar to how we had automakers merging with the American automakers. And you see Toyota trying to stay the course and keep steady and not innovate too fast because they don't have as much money to dedicate to research and development. They had to go into the lean manufacturing process, which was adopted by all automakers, which leveled the playing field. Right? So now what Trump is doing and what this current administration is doing is saying you're not going to get an uncompetitive playing field by importing cars inside of the United States of America, not hiring American workers, and having to compete without the legacy costs against our traditional automakers that hire people here in the United States of America. Well, it's a similar thing when it comes to our economy. We are basically dealing with the legacy costs of previous administrations while at the same time trying to solve for and make sure that we're bringing American manufacturing back to the United States of America, and at the same time trim costs so we can still pay off our $36 trillion in debt. So it is always going to be both economies. You're always going to deal with the legacy that came from the presidents before, which is one of the reasons why when we elect the president, we have to pay attention to how it's going to affect our children. Our elections aren't for us. Whatever we're currently in, whatever we're currently dealing with, our elections are not for us. You are not going to see a massive, significant change. Change is incremental, but it's absolutely the thing that your children is either going to benefit from or pay for in the future. That's why you haven't seen, or you'll never truly experience what the impacts of something in until 3 or 4 presidents later. A lot of times Trump had to renegotiate the North America Free Trade Agreement from the 90s. From the 80s and the 90s, that's what he had to negotiate from. But we left that thing in place. The Biden administration left the tariffs in place from the Trump administration the first time. You know why? Because they understood that the Chinese were absolutely taking advantage of us, but he couldn't cause huge waves because he was already dealing with problems when it came to massive inflation that he couldn't tamp down in the first place. So he couldn't compound issues. He had to deal with one small issue at a time, and they was letting a bunch of people over here in the first place. So when you think about these presidents and you think about these elections and you think about the things that we need to be solving for, or the conversations that presidents have to sell you on electing them, while at the same time solving for the problems that most people don't even understand, because most people don't have the attention span that lasts long enough to have these conversations. They small-minded. They got to give you little breadcrumbs. They got to give you things here and things there. Oh, okay, listen. We're gonna give everybody $5,000. And then on the Democrat side is your body, your choice. What they didn't tell you is that it didn't even matter whether or not Trump or Kamala Harris got elected when it came to abortion rights, because it had to be voted on by the states. It never removed your ability to be able to do what you wanted to do with your body. And that's why you don't see anybody talking about it today. They give you the things that's easy to market to you. When they do these bills, they say, oh man, these is the infrastructure bill or the new Green Deal. They have to market it to you because most people don't have the attention span to dig deep enough to understand where we came from and why we need to elect this person. Because if we never did, it would have been a disaster for your children. And that's why I also call the boomers the worst generation of all time, because they had the biggest opportunities and they fumbled it the most, and they never did the thing for the people that was coming after them. The boomers is the worst generation of all time, in my opinion. All time in the United States of America, because they had the opportunity, they had the money, they had the unions, they had the numbers, they had the solidarity, and they gave up on their homes. They got addicted to drugs. They decided that they wanted to fumble the bag. They used the unions, but they didn't benefit the next generation, and they voted horribly, and they gave away all of our future in order to get a quick bag that didn't benefit them in the long term. Everything that we do is for the next generation. It's supposed to be. Put my Yeezy slide back on. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. They sold their mother's houses. They gave us HOA fees, higher taxes, and then they all turned gay. That's why when you go on a vacation and you go to some spot or you go on a cruise, tell me I'm lying. I'm going to go to the next part of the show. Tell me I'm lying. When you go on a cruise or you go to a vacation or you go to an unknown spot where they don't have to show their family and friends who they really are, you're going to see two older men holding hands and two older women kissing. They're the worst generation of all time. It's not uncommon to see two men that's fully gray, white, black, all of them, holding hands in the airport together, laying on each other's shoulder. Worst generation of all time. Horrible. Horrible. Two ladies that look like Arnold Schwarzenegger with pixie cuts. They the ones that gave you that pineapple mess, putting pineapples on each other's doors. Oh, you want to slang some penis to each other? Like, bruh, get out of here. Anyways, make sure y'all like that lesson, that quick history lesson. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to tell you anything except I promise to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I'm going to give you a history lesson. I'm going to help you to understand why we vote the way that we vote. I'm going to also help you to understand why we need to make sure that we get this bag. And I'm going to tell you what really happened and why everything is the way it is today. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Send this to grandma. She might not like it because she like girls now. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to get there. Manuel AG says, I asked you the same question a couple months ago about an 8-year terms instead of just 4, and you said no. No, I don't think it is. I'm just posing a question. I don't think that it's necessarily a good thing. Whiskey Pierre says, Anton, instead of letting the person talk and interviewing, it's a debate. Let the man cook, stop interrupting, ask what's next, and other ventures. Jerome Gray says, preach, preach, preach. Shout out to Young Dolph. Shout out to Young Dolph. Who just dropped the album this weekend? DDG dropped this past week. And Key Glock Key Glock. Paper Route Empire. Breach. Dumb. Shout out to Key Glock. Shout out to Young Dolph. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Let me see something. Oh, we good. All right, y'all. Let's get over to the next part of the show. I want to talk about Mexico. Trump said that he wanted to send troops over to Mexico to battle the cartels. This is what he said on his airplane, Air Force One, over the weekend.
Contact the New York Police Department when pressed. Well, we are also just receiving video here in our newsroom of President Trump just moments ago aboard Air Force One, taking questions from the reporters as he lands back in Washington, D.C. Let's watch.
With us, they've taken advantage of us in various ways. And we fully understand what they were doing. We were being led by people that were not very smart. They were able to be taken advantage of, but I can't be taken advantage of. So at a certain point, I'll be just setting a certain tariff number.
President Trump, what's your on PEPFAR, sir?
Say it?
On PEPFAR, AIDS treatment in Africa, there's a waiver in place, but people are saying to my colleagues that they're still not getting medicines, and UNAIDS...
Well, that shouldn't be happening. But the other thing, other countries should be helping us with that. And I'm a big fan of getting that solved. But, you know, we're the only country. Where is France? Where is Germany? Where are these other countries? Nobody does anything but the United States. And we spend, billions and billions of dollars. So they should be helping also. But as you know, we did a waiver. You know that, right?
Right.
Well, I can't help that, because if we did a waiver, then you have to get your people to act properly on the waiver. But I do ask, why are we the only country doing it?
Mr. President, what's your timeline on the rest of your judicial nominations, and what's your criteria when you're picking judges?
Which nominations?
The future judicial nominations for the federal judge positions.
Well, we're putting them in rapidly, and we're trying to get very good ones. I mean, we need judges that are not going to be demanding trials for every single illegal immigrant. We have millions of people that have come in here illegally, and we can't have a trial for every single person. That would be millions of trials. The people elected me in a landslide with we won every swing state, we won everything there is to win by big numbers. Not only swing state, we won the popular vote by millions of votes. They elected me, this was the number one issue, and now we have judges radicalized, and they're crazy. Because they want us to have, if you believe this, they want us to have a trial for every person that came in illegally into our country. So
Nah, that can't happen. We can't have that. We can't have a trial for all of the millions of people that came into our country illegally. That would be crazy. That don't even make sense. I don't even think that due process is just to remove you. Due process is just to remove you. That is what the due process is. I don't think that you would actually have a trial if millions of us actually overran the borders and went over into a completely different country. They would get us up out of there. They would, nah. Listen, bro. There's a exit. If you get on the freeway, there's an exit that if you go the wrong way, what is it, 375 here in Michigan? Because we right across the street from Canada. You could end up in Canada or at the border of Canada if you make the wrong turn. You can end up at the border of Canada if you make the wrong turn right here in Detroit. And it's only one split second. You got 30 seconds. When you see that sign up at the top and it said bridge to Canada, wait, where am I going? Most people don't let your woman drive. 96, hey, don't let y'all woman drive if y'all close to downtown Detroit and you get on the freeway and you're not going west or north. Anton, why shouldn't you let your woman drive? Because women panic. Women panic. Next thing you know, you getting checked at the border. They trying to figure out whether or not they want to arrest you or send you back if you got some warrants. They do not mess around at the border. They don't play that game. And she got 30 seconds. What did the sign say? Oh my God, I don't know what to do. Then they start, no, what are you doing? Next thing you know, you at the Border Patrol, Canada. Sir, where's your passport? Don't let your girl drive east. And don't let her go over to Canada. I'm trying to tell you, they panic every single, and they always make the wrong decision when they panic.
They come into our country illegally, and then we're supposed to take weeks, I guess, and months to have a trial on every criminal, and we have murderers all over the country. I don't think the Supreme Court will stand for that. I can't believe it. Because you know what? If they do, we're not going to have a country. Go ahead.
How will you make sure that the judges that you appoint are different than that?
All you can do is do the best you can. You know, you try and appoint the best people to being judges or anything else that you appoint. But so far, you know, we've been very disappointed with the decisions that come out, and mostly from people appointed by others than me. But it's just so hard to believe that you have a murderer. Many, you know, we have 11,888 or whatever the number is. We have thousands of murderers in this country. We're getting them out. And they say, we don't want them out. We want them to stay in our country until they have a trial. Trials take years. They take years. It's so crazy. We won't have a country left. We can't have that happen. Who are you with?
The Wall Street Journal.
That's what I. Well, you people treat us so badly. Wall Street Journal has truly gone to hell. Go ahead. Yeah, rotten newspaper.
Hey, Trump. Hey, hold on, man. Trump don't mind asking you, hey, what's your credentials? What are you doing on my plane, sir? You know what? That organization you work with, that's truly a God-forsaken, awful, going to hell organization. The Wall Street Journal truly is a POS right now. Go ahead with your question, sir. Jesus Christ, I would be so aggravated. Like, God, come on, y'all. We need a better reputation.
You hear me? What I said? It's a rotten newspaper.
He said, go ahead with your question, sir. But did you hear what I said? It's rotten. It's a rotten newspaper. I wasn't expecting that one. Hold on. Give me a second.
Who are you with?
The Wall Street Journal.
That's what I. Well, you people treat us so badly. Wall Street Journal has truly gone to hell. Go ahead. Yeah, rotten newspaper. You hear me? What I said? It's a rotten newspaper.
That's why I love my president. That's the thing that we love about Trump, is that no matter what, Trump is going to tell you exactly what he thinks, and he is not going to mince words. He going to get straight to it. What do you work with? Wait a minute. It's a rotten newspaper. Go ahead with your question. But did you hear what I said? It's a rotten POS, down bottom, need to go bankrupt. I can't wait to sue the organization newspaper. Go ahead with your question. I'll be like, Jesus. Could you imagine standing in front of the president of the United States of America and he's telling you that the company that you work for is a POS? That's a lot of pressure. I didn't already forgot my question. I've already forgotten my question, sir. Good God. I wouldn't even ask the question no more. You know what? I'm sorry, sir. I just wanted to give you a compliment and tell you that everything was great and we love the things that you're doing, and I can't wait to tell my superiors.
Are there any updates and talks with Vladimir?
I wouldn't tell the Wall Street Journal because it'd be wasting my time. There are talks, but I don't want to talk to the Wall Street Journal. But look, Wall Street Journal is China-oriented, and they're really bad for this country. Go ahead.
Oh, shoot! Jesus! He wouldn't even answer his question. You know what? There is some talks going on, but I wouldn't tell the Wall Street Journal because it's a Chinese-ran organization. Good God. Why y'all didn't warn me before y'all gave me this clip to review in this segment of the show? Okay, my producers are going to have to brief me a little bit better. Producer, did you watch this clip before we started having this conversation? Man, I could have did a whole segment on just Trump dissing the Wall Street Journal. I'm about to cancel my subscription. I ain't got no subscription to the Wall Street Journal. Good gosh. Jesus.
Fair deal. You say you want a fair deal with China. What is a fair deal like that you want them to?
Well, Well, you know, I want a fair deal with China, but China's been ripping us off for many years, so maybe something should be thought about, you know, a little bit of retribution. China's been ripping us off for many years, ever since they started. To me, I think it was the worst thing that Richard Nixon ever did.
Y'all talking about I'm the Millionaire Derailment Show. I got it from him.
And it was in Nixon, you know, he's the one that got it started. And they've taken advantage of it. No.
Mexico's president is claiming that you offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico, and she said that she didn't want them in Mexico. Is that true? Can you tell us about those conversations?
So Mexico is saying that I offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico to take care of the cartel. She wants to know, is that true? Do you think I'm going to answer that question?
That's why I'm asking. We'll see.
I will answer it. It's true. Absolutely. Because they are horrible people that have been killing people left and right, that have been, they've made a fortune on selling drugs and destroying our people. We lost 300,000 people last year to fentanyl and drugs. They're bad news. Yeah, that's true. If Mexico wanted help with the cartels, we would be honored to go in and do it. I told her that. I would be honored to go in and do it. The cartels are trying to destroy our country. They're evil. And, you know, we had 300,000 people die last year from fentanyl and all of that. We had millions of people brought into this country that shouldn't be here. The cartels brought them in. So if she said that I offered to do that, she's 100% right.
And that's one of the reasons why we tariff Mexico. The reason that we tariff Mexico is because they keep allowing for people to come into this country and for drugs to be trafficked over into the United States of America. It kills me when I see Democrats, the Jasmine Crockett's, the Bernie Sanders, the AOCs. They get on these microphones and they say, I can't believe that Trump is going after our allies. Why would he put requirements and tariffs on Mexico? Well, number one, Mexico is being used by people outside of Mexico because they don't really have no industry of their own. Y'all think that we care about their avocados? The price of avocados. We're not going to have avocado toast because of Trump, or the cost is going to go up higher. I don't care about your avocados, family. We care about the fact that China built factories over in Mexico so that they can import products into the United States of America, and y'all let them do it while at the same time saying that y'all are our ally. So how can you be our ally when you're letting Chinese build factories in Mexico and ship cheap products into the United States of America to get over the tariffs that we had against the Chinese? You free though. You free though. Banging cocktail waitresses 2 at a time. Getting slapped up by Barzini. You're free though. You're trading on the family. You're trading on the family. We negotiated a deal with you guys in good faith. The USMCA deal to replace the North American Free Trade Agreement. We gave y'all a deal. And you know what you gave us? Fenty. You gave us Fenty. We had more Fenty coming into the United States of America than ever before. You know what they want to tell us? Well, y'all just keep using it. So Chinese could basically infiltrate the United States of America by flooding us with Fenty through Mexico, but they supposed to be our ally. How is you our ally? You benefit from us financially, you're double dipping, and you're giving us Fenty and you're letting them run it across the border. They're not trying to control the cartel. As a matter of fact, Trump offered, he just told you out of his own mouth, hey, we're offering you to continue to eliminate the cartel so that you guys can... We back yet? Sorry about that, y'all. Let's continue on with the show.
Contact the New York.
That a young lady, a 10-year-old girl, 9-year-old girl, a 15-year-old girl doesn't need $37. She could be very happy with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Right. I would. Let's not waste a lot of time on a stupid question. What else?
Can't afford any.
Well, if that, I don't know about it, but I'm honored if that's the case. If they're going to name a road after me, if that's the case, I'm honored. Thank you.
Sir,
Go ahead.
who are you considering to be your more
have a lot of people that want the job, I can tell you. It's, I mean, a lot of people say it really works in with what Marco's doing. But we have a lot of people. I'm going to be naming somebody, but we'll make it. I would say within 6 months. You would do the job permanently, but I think it's, it's an appropriate job.
Are you considering Stephen Miller? Are you considering Stephen Miller for that?
Stephen Miller's at the top of the totem pole. I mean, I think he sort of indirectly already has.
So anyways, yes, Trump did confirm that he did want to send troops over to Mexico. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. All right. Let me read this super chat really quickly. 392Q says, forever grateful for getting the knowledge from your stocks and to real estate, and to see Myron on the After Hours show giving ladies knowledge was classic. When are you flying to the MIA to collab? I have no idea yet, so I will keep you guys up to date on what that looks like in the future. Let me move over into the next part of the show. I will keep you guys informed when I fly down to the MIA, yo. So cartel members. So we always want to try to get it from different lenses or different views. We don't want to just look at it from one lens. Cartel members are actually speaking on how they feel about Trump, considering his aggression towards rooting out illegal activities coming across the border. Check it out. And this was courtesy of CNN. Actually, the reporter, the person that did this article actually did it, and they came over from Vice to now work at CNN. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I want to share some of this with you.
Right now we're just racing through town following this group of volunteer paramedics on that motorbike.
Ya no aguanto con este brazo yo, güey.
Si te lo quito te vas a sangrar. El muchacho tiene una hemorragia y pues es considerablemente mortal. Aquí, deténgame.
This area is very heavily populated by cartel members, and right now this guy is losing a lot of blood, so it's a bit of a race against time.
Esto es riesgoso para nosotros porque la ambulancia ya tardó mucho y nosotros nos estamos exponiendo aquí.
Violence erupts almost every night here in Sinaloa, Mexico, the heartland of one of the most powerful criminal gangs in the world, the Sinaloa cartel. Once led by the notorious drug lord El Chapo, this cartel is responsible for selling huge quantities of drugs to U.S. consumers.
The cartels are waging war on America, and it's time for America to wage war on the cartels, which we are doing.
President Donald Trump is pressuring Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum to crack down on the cartels, threatening tariffs and even military strikes. In response, hundreds of soldiers have already been added to the troops here in Sinaloa. We've come here to understand what that looks like. From hidden drug labs and defiant cartel members
Está fea la situación.
to grieving families and soldiers on the front line.
We're with the Mexican military right now, flying over the state of Sinaloa, over this massive expanse of rural land, looking for any signs of cartel activity.
This is more cannabis than I've ever seen in my life. The scale of drugs here is just enormous. I mean, this is a whole field of marijuana here. These guys are going to be camped up here for the next few days, just trying to destroy field upon field of cannabis, of poppies. So is this area safe?
Yes, secured area. We need to make aerial reconnaissance and then vehicle and then on foot. And here is the poppy field.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
So they slice the poppy to get the opium, and they start the process to get heroin.
So how much heroin does a field like this produce?
2 kilos.
2 kilos. The soldiers burn the poppies and marijuana. But it's synthetic drugs that are responsible for most of the 87,000 Americans who've died of.
Look at y'all. Y'all so desperate. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Look at over there. We would absolutely be in heaven. Look at y'all. What a waste. Y'all the problem. The people that's watching this right now is the problem. Y'all are the problem. Just as bad as we got them feeding us over here with this nonsense, we got the people over there on this side, on your side, that's sitting there talking about, oh my God, I can't believe it. You would sell it to your own grandma just to get an extra $50, wouldn't you? Oh, you would sell it to your own grandmother just to get an additional $50. You would sell out your own community, sell it into your people. Crazy, bro.
Overdoses in the space of a year. These drugs, like fentanyl and meth, can be produced in much bigger quantities, generate enormous profits, and are easier to hide.
Los criminales construyen estas áreas de trabajo en lugares lo más inaccesible para que la autoridad no los descubran.
I can smell it from here. It's very strong.
Sí. Bueno, vemos acá, esta es un área de concentración. Aquí tienen los productos químicos. Vienen, trabajan 2-3 horas, producen 50, 20, 50 kilos, 100 kilos.
That's crazy.
Terminan y se van y se llevan la producción. Este laboratorio ya no va a ser reubicado a otro lado. Lo que hay aquí se va a destruir ahora mismo.
In the first 6 months of Sheinbaum's presidency, thousands of suspected cartel members have been arrested, and more than 140 tons of drugs have been seized. But the reality is, more than 1,200 people have also been killed in Sinaloa in the past year. Hundreds more have disappeared. An uncomfortable fact for the Mexican military. In downtown Culiacan, the capital of Sinaloa, the military's narrative that they are fully in control begins to unravel.
The rates of violence are still extremely high here. Since September, when this war between two factions of the Sinaloa cartel exploded, people have been dying on a daily basis. Very stark reminders here of people who are missing, who've been disappeared as part of this cartel war between the two factions that's playing out right now. All very recent cases. This was last week, 23-year-old went missing.
Those you cannot say if they are real.
What do you mean?
Those wires are old.
No, this is post the date here. This is the 22nd of March, they went missing, right?
Sí, pero, o sea, esto es una copia. It's a copy. Who put this? We don't know.
As we're talking, a soldier blocks our camera.
You mean it's not verified? Yeah. Presumably people aren't just putting up posters for the fun of it. They're putting them up because they're missing family members, right?
I don't know.
What's up? You don't want us filming it?
The military steer us off and invite us to film something else. But we call the number on the poster of the missing woman. Her name is Vivian Esporo. Her family tell us she disappeared 17 days ago. We promised to follow up on her story. But who are the men running this criminal network, wreaking havoc on people living here? We part ways with the military. So we've just entered an area of the city that is still very dangerous. After weeks of trying our contact here on the ground, just managed to secure a meeting with a member of the cartel who's involved apparently in the production of drugs. And so we're meeting him now in somewhere around here in an undisclosed location.
¿Cómo estás?
This man is talking to us on the condition we hide his identity and location.
Can I pull up a chair?
He says he produces fentanyl for the Sinaloa cartel.
How safe or dangerous is this area to be in?
En estos momentos todas las áreas son peligrosas.
The Mexican military making a big effort to crack down on the drug production here. How are you responding to that, and how does that impact your work?
Están haciendo un buen trabajo, pero pues como ellos vienen más, pues uno tiene que buscar la forma de seguir trabajando, claro, en baja escala, ¿entiendes? Pero no igual como antes, pero se sigue haciendo.
I mean, according to the Trump administration, you are a terrorist. I mean, the cartels have been labeled a foreign terrorist organization. What do you make of that?
Está fea la situación, ¿verdad? Está fea la situación, pero pues todos tenemos que comer.
What's your message to Donald Trump?
They sound just like people in the hood, to be honest with you. Sound just like people in the hood. They saying that they're doing it because they got to eat, because they want to run up a bag, because they want to take care of their family. It's no different than what you see happening in your own very hood that you grew up in. Oh man, we don't sell drugs because we want to. We sell drugs because we have to. We got to make sure that we feed ourselves. We got to make sure that we feed our family. So they don't cultivate their own industries. They don't build up their own businesses. They don't make Mexico great again, right? They don't. They don't make Mexico great again. They just continue to embrace the worst. And guess who then becomes the culprit as a result of it? The American citizens. So again, this goes back to my initial conversation. They're not looking to be beneficial to society. They're looking to make sure that they're good at the expense of Americans. They're going to sell you their trees. They're going to sell you their coke. They're going to sell you their keys. They're going to sell you their meth, and they're going to sell you their Fenty. They're going to move it all across the border. They're not promoting that we sell it here in Mexico. They promoting that they're going to sell it across the world, and the closest place that they can get it to is the United States of America, which means what? That means that they're willing to sell you out so that they can feed their families and get rich. On a lower level, people are going to be able to survive. At the mid-level, they'll be able to thrive. That'll be the middle class. At the highest level, they'll get filthy rich as a result of it, and they're going to do anything in their power to protect their industries, and they're going to continue to sell it to the United States of American citizens. And so while you got these Democrats sitting there saying that, oh yeah, no. We cool. We support Mexico. We stand with Mexico. Mexico is selling you the poison that'll kill your own communities, and that is devastating the people that surround you.
If he's watching this.
Mis respetos, él tiene que...
Hold on, let me see something.
If he's...
Pero pues, todos tenemos que comer.
What's your message to Donald Trump if he's watching this?
Mis respetos, él tiene que... que según él buscar lo mejor para los suyos. Pero el detalle que ya están los consumidores. ¿No?
Did you see what he said? She said, what is your message to Donald Trump? He said, we respect them. They got mad love and mad respect to Donald Trump. You know why? Because Donald Trump is trying to look out for the American citizens. Ain't that sad that the adversaries, the people that's on your opposite end, your ops, actually have more respect for you because you're standing up for your people? They don't look at it as emotional. They look at it as business. Listen, we respect you as our enemy because we know that you're trying to do the best thing for the American people. They don't respect the previous administrations that just let them flood it in. They like, oh, they some suckers. See, y'all don't get it. Y'all don't really understand it. Yep, you're right, Chuck Buck. Real recognize real. You can recognize a real one. You know what? Nah, I see what he doing. I see what he doing. He may be an op. I may not agree with him, but I got respect for him because he actually doing it for something. He's standing for something. He not falling for anything. He's standing for something. He not falling for anything. And then they say, but listen, it ain't going to ever be something that he can completely stop. He could work on the behalf of the people. He can push. He can make sure that they cut it off. But as long as consumers, you guys, as long as the people are so desperate. Remember when we were showing the beginning of this video and the people was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Look at all of that good poppy seed. As long as the people is desperate, you will never be able to satisfy it or quench that thirst because they are filling a need from people that are basically dope fiends inside of the United States of America. They're filling a need for people that are dope fiends. As much as they respect Trump for trying to do the things that's in the best interest of the United States of America, it's the people that's going to continue to be the consumers of this Mexican product. And it's the same thing when it comes to the stuff that come from China. It's the same thing that the stuff that it comes from Mexico. It's the same thing when we come to being interdependent on other people for our success. We ain't nothing but some simps, bro. I'm going to be honest with you. That's what I look at it as. We are the equivalent of simps. Because we can't stop jocking these hoes for our own safety, for our own lives, for our own well-being. We will sell our soul, and we will dive out, crash out for the first piece of box that make itself available to us. You will sell your brother out. Sell out the United States of America. Start pandering. We'll do anything for the high. Anything for the high. We simping for other countries that don't even care nothing about us. We so weak. We so weak. And we follow our women into it. Like, oh my God, yeah, baby. Yeah, baby, we voting Democrat. We definitely supporting Kamala Harris and all of the other people that rock out with us. Yeah, baby. Gosh.
Si no hubiera consumidores, pues uno le parara.
There is a lot of violence playing out on these streets here at the moment every day, right? I mean, people are dying on a daily basis. Children are afraid to go to school. Do you have any sense of remorse over your role and your involvement in this group?
Claro que sí. Claro que sí. Creo que sí. Pues está triste la cosa, pero pues está triste la cosa, pero está temblando mucho esta madre.
His phone is pinging. Someone is nearby. He tells us we need to leave for our own safety. It's because of...
So, that's that. And of course, you're going to have the people that's crying at the funeral and stuff like that. We're going to avoid this part of the show, but I think that we made our point. The fact of the matter is we are our own worst enemy because we won't even do the thing that's in our own best interest. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Wesley Turner says the Mexican government just lets it happen. Well, we letting it happen too. And the Mexican government is complicit also, obviously. Again, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. All right, let's pivot for a second. Let's head over to the business aspect of the show. And the first thing that I want to talk about is Elon Musk. So Elon Musk is opening up another Tesla Giga factory, which I think is great for the United States of America. And guess what it does? It adds jobs. Lord forbid that we actually have more jobs coming into the United States of America. No. We're against Elon. We're against Tesla. We're against American companies. Anything American, we're against it. I seen a video of a guy that does a belt company, and he was like, yo, this is why I charge what I charge for my belts. We actually make it. You'll actually never have to need another belt. We guarantee it. This is made of pure brass. This is the best cowhide that you can do. We hand make every single belt here in the United States of America. It's of the greatest quality, and you'll probably never have to buy another belt unless you just want something additional. But this belt will last you for your entire lifetime. And you know what I've seen people doing now? He was doing well. There's a lot of people that supported. But I've seen some comments in there, too, on that advertisement. And it was like, I don't support America. I only want it cheaper over in here. And I could get it for this amount. So much. So what if it breaks? So what if it's cheaper? I'm like, you guys just hate America. But Tesla's opened up a new Gigafactory. Check it out.
Welcome back to My View. I couldn't leave Texas without getting a closer look at the fascinating work being done at Tesla, while the world is busy taking aim at its CEO. From the showroom to the factory floor, the technology at work is groundbreaking, and I was lucky enough to get a front row seat.
This is where it actually all happens, right? What are we seeing in here?
This is the machine that builds the machine.
It really
So
is.
here at Giga, Texas, we make Model Ys and Cybertrucks.
Okay.
So this side of the factory is mostly Model Y, and we're currently walking into the middle of Cybertruck here.
And I have to say, this facility is so clean. I feel like I've never been in a space, it's sort of a manufacturing type location where it feels so clean.
2 tricks on manufacturing I've always learned is you can't fix quality from a conference room, and happy people build good cars and trucks. And so people like a nice, clean place to work in. So now Model Y, the most American-made car in the U.S.
And
I bet you a lot of people didn't even know that. I guarantee you most people didn't know that the Model Y is one of the very few cars / vehicles that is actually almost 100% made inside of the United States of America, meaning that not only is it assembled here, because if you go over, and I actually showed this on the Darth Anton channel, if you go over and you look at the sticker, right, there's multiple stickers on most vehicles that they ship inside of the United States of America or that they sell on car lots. If you go and you look at any car, you can look at a Hyundai, you can look at a Toyota, you can look at GM, you can look at a Ford vehicle. If you look at it, it will tell you what was made where, what percentage of the parts are from Mexico, what percentage of the parts are outside of the United States of America, where it was assembled, what it was shipped by, so on and so forth, right? The Model Y is the most American-made vehicle in the United States of America. And I'll also do you one better. The Model Y is still the best-selling vehicle in the world. So while everybody is actually against Elon, the reality is that he is actually the one that is best for America. Ain't that crazy? The thing that we love the most to hate is the thing that's the best for you. So while people from America are getting stocks, the workers on the factory floor, part of their compensation package is actually stock options. I bet you didn't know that. One of the very few companies where the people on the floor dealing with and making the vehicles every single day are getting stock options, which is usually reserved for white collar, higher upper echelon, middle management / upper management. That's what the bonus structure, a lot of times equity in the company come from, and the CEOs. The workers on the floor in Tesla actually get stock options. They get equity in the company. So they have a vested interest to actually do the thing that's in their own best interest and to make the company better.
Brand new. These have just been made and are rolling off the factory line.
Yes. We just kicked off. The cars now drive themselves from the end of the production line over to the ship out logistics lot.
That's crazy. Usually you would have somebody actually in the car driving, but because of their autonomous FSD full self-driving, the cars can drive themselves off the factory line and then over into wherever it is that it's going to go.
They're going to drive themselves. Look at this. There it goes.
Yeah, right here.
Nobody's in there. Wow. That's amazing. That is so cool. Only Elon Musk could do this.
The first product was Model Y. And so this building went up. I think Elon quotes it as the quickest construction project since World War II.
And I heard Elon Musk told me this building is 3 times the size of the Pentagon. Is that right?
Yes, you can put 3 Pentagons inside this building.
Wow.
So this is what we call WAHA, which is headlight and wheel alignment. And then they come over to the final, we put an aero shield at the bottom of the car that helps with to get more mileage for aerodynamics. And so that's the final step here. And then they go here to where we just saw them leave and drive over to the logistics lot. And they go.
I will personally always own at least one Tesla in my fleet. I will always personally own at least one Tesla in my fleet. I'm actually on my second Tesla, and it has been amazing. It has been amazing. It was amazing when I first bought a Model Y, and then we turned it in, and then we wound up getting a Cybertruck because I had been on a Cybertruck wait list for a long time. And it is a truly incredible marvel. I love cars across the board for different reasons. Electric cars, I like them. I think that they are very much the best cars for daily local driving activity. And then I like the other cars for, other reasons. You know what I'm saying? Because I drive my car. So the 911 is much different than the 96. The 96 is much different than the TRX. The TRX is much different than the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck is different than the Mercedes. The Mercedes is much different than the Bronco. The Bronco Raptor. The Bronco Raptor is much different than the Cayenne. The Cayenne is way different than, what am I missing here? Then the Challenger. Much different than the SRT Challenger, the Hellcat, right? So they're all different vehicles, and you like them for different reasons because they drive different. An ICE vehicle is much different than an electric vehicle, but I will always have at least 1 or 2 electric vehicles inside of my fleet. The Cybertruck is an amazing piece of engineering.
On a truck and go to customers.
All right, what else do we have?
Well, we're going to go down some Cybertruck lines and show you some more of the process.
Love a Cybertruck. Let's go. When I first saw a Cybertruck, I think everybody has the same reaction. You've never seen anything on the road like it. And I think so many people thought that it was, first I think people thought, I don't know, that's
I do. I got a 96 Impala too.
kind of ugly, and then people really kind of love them now.
Oh, once you get inside of it and just get to experience it, it's the coolest machine ever. You could go four-wheeling in the back 40 and then get on the highway and just do 0 and 60 in like no time flat, which is awesome. Another really good thing about Tesla is like we're very vertically integrated. So what that means is like we build our own seats, we build our own motors.
Holla at Dre. I actually I did long distance driving and it was a great experience. I drove from here to Pittsburgh in one, and then I took one to Ohio. I took one to Chicago. So I didn't have any problems whatsoever. I thought it was a great experience.
Battery packs. We build our own cells that go into the battery packs, and so there's always great things to learn about like lean manufacturing. If you reduce
somebody said how do I forget about the Hellcat?
Probably the biggest gift that gives you is the ability to go quickly on things and change
right,
things.
You don't have to wait. There's no supply chain. You're
yeah,
just
most people are not as quick as we are.
Is this machines doing it on this side?
So this is machines doing it on this side, and the Cybertruck is very straight angles. So the body panels have to be very, very precise on how we, on accuracy of where we put the body panels at. So like when we have those kind of applications, like we use a robot to
you want to
get
have
that
a robot.
kind of precision.
But over on this side, we actually have people, humans, who are putting things together.
A lot of it goes down to each station and each task you get to. We do an engineering study and see what's the best way to do that task and the best, we look at ergonomics, we look at like tolerance stack up of parts, driving everything to nominal. So that's what kind of goes into the decision.
Oh, look at the black guys on the line. Listen, y'all don't care. They want you to protest against it. They want Tesla to shut down inside of the United States of America. They don't want American-made products anymore. Everybody wants everybody to lose their jobs as one of the largest employers inside of the United States of America. They hate it, all this other nonsense.
And see, now we have the side panels on the trucks, so.
Oh yeah, they're putting the side on.
Yeah, starting to come alive.
Uh-huh. Starting to look more like what we're familiar with on the roads. More and more of them out there.
So not only does Tesla, we vertically integrate a bunch of parts into our process, build them ourselves, we actually build our own tools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have, this wheels-on automation is actually built in, designed in-house with Tesla engineers. At this station, we actually will take the tire and wheel off the conveyor. We'll take a picture of where it goes on the lugs, and we will auto-secure it.
It's done. That was it.
Done.
The whole tire's on. That was it. That's amazing.
Yeah, this is what we call a skillet system. And so, see, they actually rotate as well. So give the workers the best angle to work on the truck. And then they'll rotate it as they go down onto the straight line. We actually partner with the local high schools to bring in the production associates into the line.
Nice.
And then even with the local community college, we're doing a tech school with them. So
Wait a minute. No way that Tesla actually partners with their local communities to offer people jobs straight out of high school. You mean that's similar to what we was experiencing back in the 80s and the early 90s and the 70s in Detroit? So they actually teach them how to do things while also employing them. They partner with the local high schools to make sure that they give the people in the local community jobs as soon as they graduate, while at the same time allowing for them to go to school and go to college and develop some technical skills in the same time. What? Wait a minute, that's crazy. Nope, but they'll tell you that Elon Musk is an American. He doesn't love us. It's not about him. He actually wants to destroy the United States of America. That's insane. But see, this is a story that you'll never see on MSNBC. If Lord Trump was not the one to actually do this and then air this on Fox News, you would never actually see this come to light. You would never see him talk about it on CNN. You'll never see him talking about it on MSNBC. You'll never see him talking about it on the Wall Street Journal. They'll never tell you about it, ever.
Take people that are here in Tesla and we get to take them to school and train them on technician skills. Then they come back and they're the maintenance techs or process techs to keep the robots running and the automation running.
Tell me about these street signs, because you got street signs here at Tesla. Why?
Yeah, well, it's just there's so many stations and it's the plan for every part. So you map out the section of the factory so everyone knows to go and everything's labeled and there's a plan for everything.
I know heavy
Because
duty.
you got to get the 10,000 parts to everything in less than a minute. You got to be very dialed into all the process.
And this place is so big, you actually need street signs. Otherwise, I think you would get lost around here, right?
It's a little big, yeah.
So cool. This is the final stop before these Cybertrucks
Quality
are shipped off.
checks.
And they're doing kind of final checks?
Yep, doing final checks, final touch-ups, so the car's perfect and the truck's perfect before they go to the customer.
And then we have a couple almost ready to go. What's the general vibe like around here? This seems like a place where people are happy to work. What's the office culture around Tesla?
It's happy people build trucks and cars. So it's the most important thing. These people come to work every day. A lot of times we spend more time here during the day than they do at night. So yeah, we focus really making a good experience for the people to come to and work, and because it's their family here on the line too.
Right.
So we want to take care of our family.
Oh, there's the
horn again.
There's the horn. And there it goes. That's somebody's new Cybertruck rolling out right there. Ready to go. And we approved it. It's in great shape.
I personally, again, will probably always own a Tesla. I love them. I think that they are incredible vehicles. They're leaps and bounds ahead of most other manufacturers. I'll always try to keep at least three American-made vehicles in my fleet. Right now I have 4, but I think that Elon Musk is doing a phenomenal job, and I always want to try to offer you guys something different every week so that you'll be more informed for yourself and you'll be armed with the information so that when you then see other people start to say stuff that's not true, you can combat that with information that you have for yourself. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read a couple of more super chats. Yodi says, we need empires, not countries. USA should expand and add Canada and Mexico to its empire. I don't know so much about that. Number says Candace Owens backpedaling on her vote, talking bad on Trump about Harvard move. She been hacked? I don't know. I haven't seen anything about Candace Owens. I haven't watched her show lately. More Than Mellow says officially A+ certified next week. Net Plus. Hashtag bag chasers. Shout out to the bag chasers. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon link is in the description. Greg Charlie says super chat got lost. I asked, is all of the talk about an upcoming recession just fear mongering, or is there an actual truth to it? I think that it's fear mongering 100%. I don't see any recession. We just had the jobs number and a jobs report come out, and actually I'll show that to you before we get into Warren Buffett. All right. According to JP Morgan and CNN, let me share my screen with you guys. See if I can get this up for you. Let's go back to, let's do 6. So according to, this is JP Morgan specifically, so I always want to make sure that I'm stating my source. The U.S. economy added 177,000 jobs in April, beating the expectations of 138,000. However, there were net downward revisions of 58,000 from the prior 2 months. Unemployment rate remained steady at 4.2%, while the average hourly earnings grew by a modest 0.2% month over month. April's job report underscored the labor market's resilience in the face of trade policy uncertainties and recent market volatility. This reinforces our strategists' view that the Federal Reserve will keep interest rates on hold in the near term as it evaluates how recently enacted tariffs impact the health of the economy. So, there you have it. And then it goes into the different charts, the payrolls, the sectors that gained and lost jobs. Household survey, for jobs report, February 2025, different references, so on and so forth. So, no, I don't think that we're facing a recession at all. I think that we're in a great space, personally. But that's just me. And then there's other factors that goes into whether or not a recession is on the horizon. But we've been hearing recession talk for a long time now. We've been hearing a lot of recession talk. I don't think that that's what the case is. Again, make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I see the Cavaliers got beat up yesterday, though. Cavaliers got beat up, though. Anyways, let's go over into the last part of the show. I want to talk about Warren Buffett. All right. Warren Buffett at 94 years old. Warren Buffett at 94 years old is finally stepping down from Berkshire Hathaway, y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's talk about it.
Tonight, one of the greatest and longest running shows in American capitalism is coming to an end. In Omaha, Nebraska, a surprise from Warren Buffett. The 94-year-old spent nearly 3 hours answering questions from investors before revealing his plans to step down as Berkshire Hathaway's CEO. The company operates all kinds of businesses, including Dairy Queen, Benjamin Moore Paints, and Geico Insurance. CBS's Jolene Ken is in Los Angeles and leads us off tonight with more on Buffett's announcement and his new warning for President Trump. Jolene, good evening.
Jerika, this was an emotional moment in Omaha. Warren Buffett, the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, announcing his plans to step down as the CEO of the empire he built at the end of the year. While there's long been a succession plan in place, the crowds were taken by surprise.
In just 1 minute.
When the Oracle of Omaha made his announcement, the crowd went wild.
The enthusiasm shown by that response can be interpreted in 2 ways, but I'll take a surprise.
94-year-old Warren Buffett shocked tens of thousands of people at his annual shareholders meeting in Omaha, divulging his plans to retire as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway at the end of the year.
The time has arrived where Greg should become the chief executive officer of the company at year end.
This has always been Buffett's plan. Vice Chair Greg Abel was designated as a successor years ago. Buffett took over Berkshire Hathaway back in 1965 with his friend Charlie Munger, transforming it from a small textile company in Nebraska into a trillion-dollar behemoth admired around the world. Today, he's worth more than $160 billion, but still lives in the same Omaha house he purchased in 1958 for $31,500. And investors still hang on to his every word for guidance.
Trade should not be a weapon.
We're gonna get into some of the things that he said at the meeting, but my largest takeaway from Warren Buffett, and I've always encouraged people to read a random walk down Wall Street, The Intelligent Investor, and Buffettology. All right, Buffettology, and this is after you read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think that we also should read The Richest Man in Babylon, The Alchemist, and David Goggins' You Can't Hurt Me. All right, so there's 6 books for you right there. Richest Man in Babylon, The Alchemist, well, actually 7 books. Richest Man in Babylon, The Alchemist. You should also get you a copy of, man, what did I just say? Richest Man in Babylon. Oh, Richest Man in Babylon, The Alchemist, David Goggins' You Can't Hurt Me. Get Rich Dad Poor Dad, that's 4, and then go over to A Random Walk Down Wall Street, go and read The Intelligent Investor and Buffettology, all right? Those 7 books will absolutely change the way you look at life. It'll change the way you look at being in the Victim Olympics. It'll give you some insight on how you need to start looking at the market, and then it leapfrogs you into the conversations that we have in a Patreon that allows for you to continue to grow. Some people said anti-hard copies. I like hard copies just because I like actual physical books. But lately I've been spending more time actually buying ebooks. The last book that I downloaded was, let me see, Apple Books. Right now I'm reading Felix Dennis. All right, I'm reading Felix Dennis' book, How to Get Rich. one of the world's most greatest entrepreneur shares this, because I always like to look at and make sure that I'm not missing anything. So I'm reading Felix Dennis, How to Get Rich. And then obviously I also had picked up The Man, The Moment Demands by my guy, Jason Wilson. So shout out to Jason Wilson. I'm about to call you back because you hit me up and I missed your call, but I need to call you back. So How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. That is my latest read that I'm going over right now. Let me see something. And so lately I've been getting all of the ebooks, and that's what I'm reading. So lately I've been reading Felix Dennis, How to Get Rich. All right. This is what the books looks like right here. Felix Dennis, How to Get Rich. All right. And then also, let's see if I can pull it up. That's what it looks like, the hardcover right there. Right there. So that's my latest read. That's what I read when I'm on a plane. That's what I read when I'm in the airport. But the point is that I'm making is that Warren Buffett is worth $160 billion. And I was having this conversation with y'all last week when I was talking about Elon Musk and his net worth. And I don't think that Warren Buffett actually cared about the money per se. I think that Warren Buffett just truly loved investing. He loved finding great companies. He loved staying to work. Warren Buffett worked all the way up until his 94th birthday, and he's still alive, giving insight, information. Charlie Munger died talking about finance. You have to love it. You have to love it. If you are in these things to get rich, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be in it to get rich too, but if you're in this thing or whatever you into to get rich alone, then you will find yourself living a very miserable life, because you will love money more than you love people. You will love money more than you love your passion. You will love money more than you love God, and you will do anything to get money, even if it means you have to do something illegal. And that's no way to live, ladies and gentlemen. The money, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything will be added unto you. The money is a subset of your greatness. The money is a subset of your greatness. You are supposed to be adding value and be productive in society, not being a leper and being somebody running in the Victim Olympics. You will absolutely be rewarded for your greatness if you are great at what you do. You're right, DJ. It is a sport. Hustling is a sport, and you got to love it. You have to love it. Chris Cunningham, that is phenomenal. So let me give you guys a couple of his imparting wisdom, because this is a moment in history. This is not something to be taken lightly. This is a moment in history that we should absolutely cherish, and we need to be looking to him, because people will be studying Warren Buffett for years to come. And this is some of the things that he had to say. First thing that he said is he has no intention of selling one share of Berkshire Hathaway.
I will not. I have no intention, zero, of selling one share of Berkshire Hathaway. It'll get given away gradually. It just won't.
Stay away from the 48 laws of power. Stay away from it. Wouldn't you guys like to be in a room to actually witness and watch history happens from a financial perspective? One of the greatest investors of all time. We sitting here trying to be at the dumb events. We trying to be at the fan events. We're the y'all trying to be at the pop your fan event. Everybody trying to get on a Carnival cruise so you could be fighting. Everybody trying to get on a Carnival cruise instead of get to the Berkshire Hathaway meeting. Another thing that he said was The U.S. budget deficit is absolutely unsustainable, and we need to do something to make sure that we lower the deficit instead of continuing to raise it up. Check it out.
Becky, you're next.
This question comes from Scott Williams in Portland, Oregon. He said, do you think the net benefit of Doge will be positive or negative for the long-term health of the United States?
Well, why don't you give me a hard one? I think that bureaucracy is something that is amazingly prevalent and contagious even in our capitalist system, and that big corporations, overwhelmingly, most of them look like they could be run better. I'm sure Berkshire does in many respects. And and government is the ultimate, so it really doesn't have any checks on it. And that's why it scares you to some extent about what the future of the currency will be, because they can print currency, and if you have people that get elected by promising people things, and that doesn't mean that they aren't sincere about all kinds of items, but there's no politician.
Hold on, Warren. Hold on. I know you work for $160 billion. I know you're the Oracle of Omaha. I know you've done some phenomenal things. I'm gonna need you to cover your mouth when you cough next time, big dog. Somebody get some hand sanitizer and wipe off that microphone. All right, we don't want to be distracted by what he's saying. We know he's 94. We know he's not quick to be able to cover his mouth. We know he got to get around with a wheelchair. But I'm not going to accept the fact that you just coughed on the microphone like that. We not doing it, big dog. Nope. Somebody get him a napkin.
That says to anybody that, at least if they have money, that, I really think you have bad breath, and if you don't mind, would you step over away from me? It just doesn't happen. And so I think the problem of how you control revenue and expenses in government is the one that is never fully solved, and has really hurt dramatically many civilizations, and I don't think we're immune from it, and we've come close to it. But if you tell me how in a democracy you go in and really change things, we're operating at a fiscal deficit now that is unsustainable.
Facts.
Over a very long period of time. We don't know whether that means 2 years or 20 years. Because there's never been a country like the United States. But you know that if something can't go on forever, it will end, to quote Herbert Stein, a famous economist. And we are doing something that is unsustainable. And it has the aspect to it that it gets uncontrollable to a certain point. I mean, essentially you just give up on it. And Paul Volcker, kept that from happening in the United States. But we came close. We've come close multiple times. And, we've still had very substantial inflation in the United States, but it's never been run away yet. And that's not something you want to try and experiment with, because it feeds on itself.
So I agree with them. I think that our current debt level and the way that we're continuing to go on is very much unsustainable, which is one of the reasons why you need the Department of Government Efficiency. We have to lower our costs. We have to pay down our debt. And to a larger extent, I think that it also applies to our own personal life. Here is Warren Buffett also saying that what he believes you should do in life. Check it out.
Good morning, Mr. Buffett, Mr. Greg, and Mr. Ajay. My name is Peter Chen. I'm from Shanghai, China. This is my first time attending this shareholders meeting. I would like to ask a question about the wisdom of life. Have you ever encountered any major setbacks or low points in your life? And how did you get through and overcome them? Thank you very much.
Well, everybody gets setbacks, and some people have particularly bad luck in that respect, and others get through with fairly minors. But Charlie, he had setbacks. I had setbacks. I mean, it's part of life, and they're not any fun. I don't have any great advice for you about having the time of your life while you're having some major setback. But it comes with lifetime. You certainly have a setback when you die. And so everybody's got that setback guaranteed to them. But some people get, and I mean, it isn't a laughing matter in a sense, because, I mean, people get extraordinary bad luck, and other people get extraordinary good luck. Usually the people who get good luck don't really think it was so much luck as themselves, but you're just going to have it. I think that you're less likely to have it in terms of medical problems, in terms of various things in life. I mean, you were born at a good time. I mean, if you look all the way through the history of China, when would you rather have been born? 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, or now? It's just hands down. You'd be lucky. I mean, if I came from 20 generations of shepherds, I think I get kind of tired of my life just looking at these sheep every day. But we can sit here and I can watch Nebraska not quite play the same game of football that we played 20 years ago, but I mean, everything in life has been made so much better that you've got to figure that you do a lucky straw by, staying in the womb for a couple 100,000 years and then just emerging at the right time. So I would focus on the things that have been good in your life rather than the bad things that happen, because bad things do happen. But it can often be a wonderful life. You could get terrible breaks in it. I mean, so far that really hasn't happened with me, but it's happened with some of my friends. But you get some bad breaks from time to time.
So his summary that he's basically answering a question with is, there's never been a better time to be alive and to be born than right here, right now. And more importantly, you need to be focused on the good rather than the bad in life. Focus on how you can be a benefit to other people. Focus on making the most of a moment. Focus on being productive and helpful. Focus on continuing to be successful. And also always be appreciative of the lot that you've had in life, because you could have been born at another time. You could have been born in another space. But we right here, right now, at a technological revolution, and I think that this is the greatest time in history. I don't think that it's going to ever get any better than what we at right now. I don't believe that it's ever going to get any better than where we at right now. And let me tell you why. I think that in the future, it's similar to when you think about, or when we have a conversation about how, man, it's different than the way that we grew up. And we used to be able to go up to a girl, or, we didn't have as many distractions with these devices and technology. Well, we kind of have the best of both worlds, right? Especially if you were born in the 80s or the 90s and even the 2000s. I will tell you that we probably are the blessed. God loves us the most. Honest to God, I think that God loves us the most. I think in the future and time to come, it'll get a little bit better. but things are become more disconnected. We're all more disconnected than ever before right now. People will prefer to be on their device than having a conversation with people that they're sitting right in front of. I've been in rooms where I've been at events where everybody is like this and nobody actually wants to interact with each other. You go to a bar or you go where they playing music and nobody even want to dance anymore. And I think that we got the best of both worlds. We got everything and we got all of the information and the stuff from the previous generations, and we know more than we ever had before. And we got the technology, we got AI, but I think that everything is going to start going backwards because we're going to become more technologically advanced, but more disconnected than ever before. I think that it's going to be less of a middle class and more of the haves and the have-nots. So right now in history, we are at the cusp of the greatest time of ever before. And this is just my own personal opinion and my own thoughts. I think that we have the perfect mix of the past, history, the understanding of some lived experience of growing up in the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. But I also think that we have the leverage from the technology to really be able to capitalize off of it and make more and be more interconnected than ever before, because we sitting here having this conversation on the internet when 30, 40 years ago, this wasn't possible. So we have the perfect mix right here, right now. Do not take it for granted. The generations after us, I don't think it's going to be the same. I think that we're going to be more disconnected. And if we don't focus, we might actually destroy this world. The people in the past, they didn't have it as good as us because, you know, they had to go through the level of suffering and the slavery and the issues and the depressions and the famine and the Roman Empire and not having modern technology and things like that. We are in the greatest era ever. I don't think that it will ever be a better era than right here, right now. So I choose to live life, love life. And that's why every day that I come on this live stream, I say that I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys are the greatest audience of ever. And I will never, ever take you guys for granted. I will never take you guys for granted. Very blessed. Very much blessed. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats. Wesley Turner says, Battle Cry by Jason Wilson is good too. Shout out to my dog, Jason Wilson. Skinny Boy says, my son wanted me to ask you, when did you make your first million? Well, I think that's it's a weird question because you can answer it one of two ways. You can say, when did you make your first million? Meaning, when was the first time that you made $1 million in 1 year? Or you can look at it from the lens and say, when did you become a millionaire? You see what I'm saying? So both questions could be answered probably around the same time in the 2010s. I like to say teens, but the 2010s. I would say shortly, probably 2013, 14 with the appreciation of real estate. Net worth went up, and then at the same time, you wind up selling a company, an application that generated a lot of revenue when you got out just in time, but then you leverage that money in order to continue to run it up. But even after you make $1 million, or even after you grow your net worth past $1 million or $2 million, you realize that that's not really a lot of money, and you can spend that as soon as possible. So it's not until you make it that you realize that it doesn't go as far as you thought that it did. And that's when you want to get rid of it so you don't spend a lot of money on taxes. And that's when you start taking up a strategic position in real estate and you start trying to leverage it to make any more money, because you never want to go back to not being a millionaire. When people become a millionaire, when they get $2-3 million, they realize that they never want to go back to not having $2 to $3 million. So the way that people evaluate where they are is net worth. Instead of net worth, I think is the way that we evaluate each other. But to make $1 million in a year is truly a remarkable accomplishment. Net worth is more or less what you're going to do with it. Generating $1 million is probably one of the most significant accomplishments that you can do. It's very hard for a lot of people. Very, very few people could say that they've made $1 million in a year. There's a lot of people that can accumulate a net worth of $1 million, but very few people can say that they've made $1 million in a year. So I think that one accomplishment is better than the other one, but the other one shows that you're more diligent in what you do with your resources. So hopefully that answers your question. Jacob, shout out to Jacob. He says, can you elaborate on avoiding the 48 laws of power? First time I've heard somebody not recommend it. Well, the reason that I don't recommend the 48 laws of power is because I think that you have to be a very, very, very well-intentioned, strong character person to take the 48 laws of power and to use it positively. There are some books that can be used positively or negatively. I would say you probably should read the Bible before 48 laws of power. You need to understand the Bible. So, for example, one of the things in the 48 laws of power is posed as a law number 14. I pulled this up because I seen that super chat and I wanted to use this as an example. Law number 14 is pose as a friend, work as a spy. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. The sentiment is to be friendly, sympathetic, and interested to get people to reveal their deepest thoughts and feelings. And when you know your opponent's secrets, you can predict their behavior and try to control them. So my point is that could be used in a very, very, very negative way. And just because you have the insight doesn't mean that it'll be used for the right thing or that it'll be positive. Some people leverage the 48 laws of power and the insight that comes along with it for some very negative and devious things. So I don't always recommend that. I don't recommend that you read the 48 laws of power. A lot of people look to it and they think that it sounds good, and so they use it against people that they don't like, but it doesn't mean that you're on the right side of history either. It's a very, very nasty thing that could be used for if you don't understand it and you don't use it the right way. So no, I would not recommend the 48 laws of power, because just because you destroy your enemies doesn't mean that you're doing the right thing. So yeah, man. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it at all. It's a popular book, but I don't recommend it. I think that there's things that you could absolutely benefit more from than that. LT says Trump is putting the heat on Powell to lower the interest rate. If so, by how much? Well, I think that the first interest rate drop will probably be 50 basis points. So I don't think it's going to be much. But we want to lower it over a period of time. You're not going to have a big jump right away. The Run says, have you heard about the Rodney Hinton case? I haven't. Or at least not right off the top of my head. Send it to me in an email. Purple Haze says, AD, as always today, you put on a great show. Make sure you share, replay, and get them gems. Chat, here's your flowers. Thank you, Purple Haze. I appreciate you, my dog. Quarter Boy is in the building. Thank you for the 2-ball. I appreciate it. Abe the Hunter says, the beginning era is near Abe. Appreciate you. Jesse V says, the 48 Laws of Power feels like a receiver's handbook to me. Quarter Boy also says, currently working on my A+. I plan on getting all the tech certs. My only problem is not knowing what to do with them as far as starting my career. Do you have a degree? And are you working in that particular field? Certifications are only great if you can leverage them to continue to level up. Most of the people I know that get certifications already have a position in the field, and they either want to maintain their skills or they want to make sure that they keep those certifications so that they can level up. So if you don't have a degree in that field, and if you're not participating in that field, I would also be making more of an adjustment to make sure that I get my foot in the door also, all right? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. It's been a phenomenal show and kicking it with you guys on a regular basis. I love you. I appreciate you. And I am going to see you guys tonight for the Q show. Make sure y'all subscribe to the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Peace.